Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll go ahead and just wait another minute just to see if we have anyone else that will be joining us. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So thanks again for joining us. Before we get started, I am going to briefly go over our agenda today. So thank you for joining our webinar for supply chain management. The time is now get ahead in the cloud. So first, we will go over introductions and who we are here at AlphaBold. Then we will provide a brief overview of NetSuite and what it's all about. From there, Ilya will take over and walk through some of the common challenges businesses face with existing supply chain management strategies, such as available to promise, inbound shipment and container management, and supply chain tower. And then we'll talk about how those issues can be specifically improved in NetSuite. From there, we'll wrap up and address any questions that anyone may have. And then lastly, we'll talk about what next steps your organization can take to learn more about NetSuite or any questions that you might have in improving your own supply chain management strategies. So my name is Olivia Johnston, and I am an account executive here at AlphaBold. I'm joined today by Ilya Budimir, who is our NetSuite practice manager. And before we jump in, I want to give you a quick background of who AlphaBold is and what we're all about. So here at AlphaBold, we specialize in a variety of offerings. We have extensive experience in managing complex projects, specifically within manufacturing, wholesale distribution, and construction. We are a NetSuite solution provider and as well as a Microsoft Gold partner. And we're very proud of our successful practices that we have here at AlphaBold today. So with that being said, what makes us different? We are very unique in this way. We have several differentiators that truly make us stand out. We proudly refer to ourselves as bold enthusiasts, and we bring a lot of years of industry experience. We're a team that's dedicated to the success of you as a customer, and we are committed to leveraging our bold route methodology, which I'll touch on in a little bit. And it doesn't stop there. We are creating a bold community, which is not only includes our partnerships with NetSuite and Microsoft, but it's also a place where you as a customer can collaborate with other customers as well. By leveraging this, your organization can look to us to see what the latest and greatest tips and tricks are, as well as what's working best for everyone else. And we aren't just an ERP shop. We also have practices that focus on custom development, QA, and integration projects. So for customers who are already leveraging a solution, whether it's Microsoft or something NetSuite related, and if you're looking to better optimize it, we also offer trainings and ongoing support tailored specifically to your business. We as a firm have been working within the manufacturing, AEC, wholesale distribution, and have specific experience in the systems, processes, and compliances that are directly related to those industries. So earlier I mentioned our unique methodology that sets us apart. We call it our bold route, and it begins with blueprint. And this is where we sit down with you as a customer and fully understand your business from end to end through analysis and design. We then move into our orchestrate phase. This is where we configure a solution that defines exactly what your business needs today, and we review those processes with you. The third phase is lead, and this is where we make sure that your team is fully trained and ready to start using the system. And by incorporating user adoption training, or UAT, we make sure that your team signs off on our work and is confident in operating independently moving forward. We then deliver what we promise, and this means that we're committed to helping your organization not only after you're up and fully running on the system, but even through post-go live support. So we're in it for the long-term partnership, and that's something that's really important to us. So here are the customers that we have the privilege to work with on a daily basis. You may recognize a few of these names. And then now I want to get into why NetSuite. So for those of you who aren't familiar with NetSuite or maybe ERP in general, NetSuite is backed by Oracle, which is a $39 billion company. And this means that it's exceptionally able to support its customers in over 160 countries. NetSuite was born in the cloud and was built to run an entire business. And where it came from is that its founders noticed many small to medium-sized businesses suffered from having so many solutions to handle different the business. And what this caused was difficulty in visibility, and reporting was extremely unreliable. So they knew that from day one, every function within a company needed one solution, and as though it was dedicated for that specific process. And that's why NetSuite covers all key business functions with a single platform. So finance, sales, product management, service, people. And by having over 20 years of experience, NetSuite is the cloud-first, cloud-only platform, and it's always up to date, and it doesn't associate with the burden of manual upgrades like many ERP solutions have today. And it's also consumer oriented, which makes it very intuitive and easy for anyone to pick up and use. It has all the tenets you would associate with a real cloud solution, and it allows businesses to access it really anywhere, anytime, any place. And so another thing about it too is it was built on a data source. And its unified data model allows for analytical capabilities. You can set securities, you can have subsidiaries, and it's truly global, meaning that it can meet the capabilities of your business and really help them get ahead. And it's accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And then last but not least, it's a solution made for an industry. So it has preset roles, configurations that come out of the box with industries such as software services, nonprofit manufacturing, and wholesale distribution. So here's how NetSuite ranks among other ERP solutions. So you can see how it stands out. And yeah, that's about it for just a quick overview of NetSuite. And with that being said, I am going to now hand it over to Ilya. And before I do, as I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the box. I will be monitoring it throughout the entire presentation, and we will be answering those at the end. All right, Ilya, go ahead and take over.
Thank you so much, Olivia. Hi, this is Ilya Budimir speaking, NetSuite Practice Management Manager at AlphaVolt. I just wanted to present you with the agenda one more time. So here you can see that we'll start with supply chain management and the advanced procurement. I'll walk you through those steps. We'll also discuss available to promise feature in NetSuite. Then we'll follow on with the inbound shipments and container management and the supply chain tower feature. So let's get started. Let's first look at the supply chain management and the advanced procurement. So let's review the image on the left side of the screen. This is the advanced procurement process in NetSuite. So the process really starts with requisitions and is then followed by RFQ, request for quote, and purchase contracts. So once the purchase contracts are established, then we can generate blanket POs, and from blanket POs we can schedule shipment deliveries. Okay. So today I won't be talking, I'll just touch on requisitions and blanket POs. I won't be talking about them too much, but I will focus on the RFQ process and purchase contracts. So as part of supply management and visibility discussions for today, let's look at the request for quote functionality, as that is an efficient and streamlined process for vendor selection. So let's talk about who can benefit from advanced procurement. In the table on the right of your screen, you can see types of organizations that may find this functionality useful. In a nutshell, the companies that procure price-sensitive parts or a material which is typically fairly standardized. So as an example, we have a company that needs 500 computers with a specific hard drive size and processing speed. For example, that company would send an RFQ to a number of vendors, and those are your prospective bidders. So in this table, what I'm showing is I'm showing an example of a company which could be a data center or equipment rentals company that may be purchasing servers, computers, electrical supplies, and the functionality that's useful to them could be RFQ and requisitions. Another example is a distributor of electronic equipment at the bottom. They purchase electronic parts. So they would use an RFQ process to sort of make their selection and pick the most affordable and product of the best quality. They also may use purchase contracts as well, and then blanket POs, so that they can streamline and schedule the deliveries of those products to their warehouse. So on the next few slides, I'm listing the typical challenges that manufacturing and WD companies are facing in the context of supply chain management. Also, I'm listing how NetSuite can help get rid of these pain points. In the last column, I'm showing potential benefits of making a switch. While I don't want to spend too much time on these slides, I will still tell you a little bit about, kind of go quickly through what benefits you will get from operating in NetSuite as opposed to Excel or QuickBooks. So let's look at the vendors. Let's look at the vendors and suppliers. So let's say currently in your system, or a company that's operating in QuickBooks or Excel is managing their vendors in Excel currently, and then after a switch into NetSuite, they will be managing suppliers in one system. And there will be associated security and control around that, and you will have full 360-degree view of your vendors. And the benefits of that are, of course, accurate vendor management and vendor visibility across the organization, across different departments. On the item level, the benefits of switching from Excel or QuickBooks to NetSuite is that currently, so let's look at the before or today. Currently reports, let's imagine the reports are gathered from different sources and then consolidated in Excel, which is really time consuming. You're taking the reports coming from different warehouses and you're consolidating them in one sheet to get a better picture of your inventory on hand or inventory available. So after you move to NetSuite, there's no need for that. We have an automated time phase and reorder point replenishment methods. We have handling for serialized and lot tracked items. We also have available to promise reporting as well that we'll look at. So I'm going to move on to next slide. So when we talk about requisitions, and as I call it, consolidated procurement, we can talk about today. And let's imagine that today we have no requisition process. Your employees are sending emails to your purchasing manager requesting different products that need to be procured. And obviously that's a very inefficient process. Once we move to NetSuite, requisitions are now streamlined. We now have a single place where the requisitions are entered. Also, the user does not have to select a supplier. That decision is made by the purchasing manager. Approval process is in place. Supervisors can approve requisitions before they're added to the PO. Order consolidation and tracking is simplified. There's only one screen to use, and the purchasing manager will see all open requisitions and will pick the most suitable supplier for the product requested. So now moving on to RFQ. Let's imagine that currently your bids are managed in Excel. Okay. There's also difficulty in performing historic price comparisons, especially if the data is in multiple sheets or sitting in Outlook. So once you move to NetSuite, We have an automated RFQ and bid process that's managed in one system. Vendors have the ability to submit bids in the system, okay? And the access to the system for your vendors is free. Bid approval is available, and there's also an easy transformation into a contract. Okay. So moving on, purchasing automation and contracts, as mentioned before, once bids approved in NetSuite, they actually become contracts in the system automatically. Let's imagine that today you may not have that in place. You may have contracts somewhere in a file repository, and you may need to review them once in a while to just make sure that all the open POs are adhering to your contract terms, which is really a time-consuming process. So after you switch to NetSuite, and if you're using this functionality, contracts are managed in one system. Schedule and pricing is defaulted based on the agreed upon terms. So let us review the RFQ process in detail. So the first step is to generate the request for quote transaction. You would select the items and vendors. The second step is to send out the bid request. The supplier will fill out the bid in a special vendor portal. And as I mentioned, that access to that portal is free. Once the bid is completed, the requester will be notified of that submission. Okay. So once the bid closing day arrives, the requester can pick the best bid. As we like to call it in NetSuite, award a bid to a supplier. And as soon as the bid is awarded, the contract will be generated and the requester can start creating a PO against the contract. So this is the detail. Here you can see in the first swim lane, you can see the NetSuite user. We're entering items, quantities, terms, special instructions on the RFQ transaction. We're selecting a vendor. And then in the second swim lane, you can see that how the transactions and processes are managed in the system. So the RFQ is generated, an email is sent to the vendor. And then in the third swim lane, you see that the vendor can log into the system, review the RFQ, submit, make changes, submit a bid. That goes back into NetSuite. And all the statuses are managed by the system. And the status of the RFQ is updated. And then the NetSuite user can analyze the bids, analyze the responses, select the items that they pick for the contract, and then generate the purchase contract. So now I'm going to play a quick video here that I recorded for you so that I can walk you through the entire process. All right, so we're going to get started. This is the RFQ screen, so request for quote. As you can see on the header level, we have some basic fields. The most important ones are the start date and the end date. Those are the start dates and end dates of contract. So that's really important because that will affect how the contract is created, and then purchase orders are generated as well. Now the bid open date is also very important because that is the start date of the bidding process, and you also have the bid close date. So typically it's 30 days. Just for this example, I picked 1 day. Note that the bids cannot be awarded between the bid open date and bid close date. So the system enforces this, okay, for security reasons and fairness. So here I'm going to select a department, a class, and the location. So this is my warehouse where I'll be creating purchase orders and receiving them. So now I'm going to pick an item that I want to purchase. So this will be a 3D printer. So next, I will look at the different price levels and price rules that we can set up on the RFQ. So here we can request different options relative to how much discount we expect to get from the vendor based on volume and the quantity we purchase, so quantity breaks essentially. So here I will demonstrate how this works. So let's say for quantity of 0, we expect we would like to know the price for when we purchased one or more units. So 0 to 5 units in this case. And then I would like to know what is the price that I would pay if I purchased 5 to 10, let's say, units. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So then I would like to know what is the price that I would pay if I purchase more than 10 units of that product. Okay, so then I'll add another item to this list. So next I will define the terms. So these are the terms that I would expect from my vendor, Net30. And I may also select Incoterms, and I may also select the carrier as well that I prefer. Okay. So now in terms of special instructions, I may want to add something here as well. So here we want to first delivery by August 15. So here in the vendor section, I will paste the message that I want to send to the vendor, and then I will select the vendor that I want to send this request for quote to. And we'll speed this up. So I have two vendors, and notice the contact information got included as well. And now I can save and email this to my vendors. And notice there's a message here that says that if you send this, there are certain fields that will be blocked and you won't be able to change them. So again, that's security and NetSuite enforces for you. Okay. So the next step is essentially the email that's sent out to the vendors. You can review that under the Communications tab. Oh, pardon me. Little technical difficulty here. Okay. So now the bid is open. And the email is sent out to the vendor. This is what the email would look like. And now the vendor can click on the link and log into the vendor center. Okay? And I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like when you log into the vendor center and open a bid. So I'm going to log in in another window. I will log into vendor center. Speed that up a bit. So this is my first vendor, American Computers. I will look for the vendor request for quote, so RFQs in the system. And I will pick the latest one that I have in the list. Okay, I will open that. So I will open the request for quote response or request for quote. I will click at it. And I will scroll down to the product that is requested. And now I can actually select, see what type of pricing they would request, what type of quantity breaks they would request. And I can then, based on the request, suggest the price that I'm ready to offer for this product. Okay. So here, for 0 units or 1 to 5, I will offer $380. From 5 to 10, my price will be better. And then for any volume over 10 units, I will offer a special price of $345. Okay. So I'll do the same for the second item. So I'll speed that up. Now I can also do volume discount. So I can also add, let's say $20,000. So if you purchase over $20,000, I can give you a % discount on total number of purchases. So additional discount for purchases made over $20,000. All right, so I'll speed that up, and then you save an email, and this goes back to NetSuite, and the user is notified of the bid response. I will go to the second RFQ quickly. Again, my apologies. Things are moving too fast here. Let's go back to the video. So this is the second response that I've created. I will send an email down. And you notice it's a different vendor canon. All right, now, so I'm back in NetSuite as the requester. And here I can, in a reminder, see all the requests for quotes that are awaiting response. Okay, so I'm going to pick this one. And I'm going to click on the vendors tab. And here I can see the responses. I can review them. Okay, notice I don't have the award tab open here because when I took this video, the bid was still open, so I couldn't award that request for quote to any of the suppliers. Okay? But I can still review the responses. So these are the responses that the supplier provided, or the bids. So this is the second vendor and the second bid. So now I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to click on Request for Quotes Awaiting Award. And I'm going to demonstrate how we can award a request for quote or a bid to a supplier. Okay. So the bid is closed, and notice now we have the awards tab. You can see it. So here's a different item, a Google Android phone, and I will edit this transaction, and I will award this item to my vendor. So as soon as the bid is approved and RFQ is awarded, the system can now, it will change the status obviously on the RFQ, and it will generate a purchase contract. Okay? And we'll open up the purchase contract. Sorry again, a little difficulty. We'll open up the purchase contract, and this is the purchase amount that we created a couple of POs, and we have a purchase amount against that contract, and we can see the related purchase orders here, and we can see what's pending the receipt. So everything is sort of visible in one place. Okay. All right, so I'll move on to the next screen. So right now, let's talk about the available to promise feature that gives purchasing and sales departments visibility into the projected delivery date of goods to customers. It lets you check item availability based on outstanding transfer orders, purchase orders, work orders, and sales orders. Typically, sales reps will have the following questions. When can we expect the item to be available, or what is the estimated date when the product can be shipped to the customer? ATP provides quick answers to to the sales and purchasing teams. Okay. Let us say a sales rep gets an order for 100 computers. Using available to promise, the sales rep checks item availability to find out the soonest date that all 100 widgets will be available and in stock. So as you can see here on this screen, this is an example, an image of discrete available to promise method, and that the supply is represented here as these buckets, and whatever's filling those buckets is the demand. All right, so I'm going to show you quickly the demo. Okay. So first, we're going to try to create a sales order. So I'm going to go to my customer. I'm going to click sales order. All the information is populated. First thing I'll do is I'll select the location. This is the location from which I'm fulfilling my product. This is the item that I want to sell to my customer. And notice there's a notification here that we have no stock of this item. Right? So 122 units are back ordered. So now I want to see the expected ship date. I want to set the expected ship date, and I have a little icon next to it. So I'm going to click on it, and that's the ATP screen that will pop up. So I can expand that, and I can see that for one unit, the earliest available date is June 28th for one item. Okay. And if you look at the bottom of this screen, you will see the ATP method used, the quantity on hand, quantity available, quantity committed, lead time, and the safety stock levels for this product. The bottom, that sublist shows all the outstanding supply, or all the POs. Okay. I think that first one is an inventory adjustment. Hmm. Now what I will do is I will change this quantity to 660 units, and let's see if the earliest available date will change. No, it's not changing. 150 units is not changing. But let's say I want to order 500 units. When would be the latest available date for this product? And the system will change this to 9/21, and this is the earliest delivery date for my outstanding POs that will allow me to fulfill 500 units of that product. Okay. So next I'm going to show you another screen where you can review this, and it's called Check Item Availability Screen. So it's the same process. You essentially select your subsidiary. If you have a One World account, you select your location, your warehouse, you pick your item, and you enter the quantity that you want to fulfill. And then the system will spit out the earliest available date for the quantity desired. So I imagine you can see how valuable this information is. So we'll proceed to the next screen, and I will focus my attention now to container management. So container management is a systematic, so the system provides a systematic container management functionality, and this provides huge advantages to companies. In this table, I would like to demonstrate what you may be potentially facing today and how this change to NetSuite may affect you. So let's say before you implement container management, you're managing everything in Excel. You have a lack of control, a lack of visibility. You can track landed cost, and there's no clear transfer of ownership. You don't have that in your books. You don't see that transfer of ownership, and you don't know when the goods are on the water. That information is scattered and not readily available. After you move to NetSuite and implement this functionality, you will be managing your containers in one system. You can then track multiple POs or PO lines against one inbound shipment record. Also, you can have multiple multiple containers attached to one PO. So both capabilities are available. Then this will facilitate shipment tracking. You can also build reports and other automation off of that container. And what's really, really important, you have that transfer of ownership. You can, this is managed by the system. There's no need for virtual locations. Every time there's a transfer of ownership transaction, from the accounting standpoint, the goods are on the water, and you can actually see that on your reports. Okay, so no transactions are required to manage that process. It's managed in the back end by the system. So I'll move to the next demo, and I'm going to show you how the container management works in practice. All right, so I'm going to create a container. So this is the inbound shipment record or container. I'm going to enter the external document number. So usually that's a vessel number as well, or you can have a separate naming convention. And let's assume that the expected shipping date when this container was created was April 11. And let's assume that the actual shipping date was May 8th. And the expected delivery date, remember our previous example, expected delivery date was 28th of June. Okay, now I'm going to click on Add POs, and I'm going to look for the vendors that are in the system. And then I'm going to pick the PO that was issued and that's related to our HP our computer, or our compact HP compact computer. And I'm going to add this PO to the inbound shipment record. So notice it adds that line, but it also adds other lines. Now I can assign landed cost so that when I receive the product, that landed cost is actually applied on the item receipt, and that will affect my inventory asset. So that is automated for you. So I'm going to use the allocation method value, and then I'm going to pick my item. That's my HP compact. Okay, and now we'll save my transaction on my inbound shipment record. Okay. Next step is to mark this in transit. So your supplier will call you, and they'll tell you that the products were shipped. You will mark this in transit, and then you will take the ownership of the product once it's on the water. Okay. So that's the next step. That's your transaction. That will move the quantities and the amounts from your received not billed register, or RNI, that some may call it, to your temporary register for external inventory in transit. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up. So now let's take a look at what that looks like on the item level, where we track our locations and inventory. So if I go to my location, US West DC, and I scroll all the way to the right, I can see that inventory, that it is in transit, okay, and it's quantity in transit external. So it's on the water, it's the foreign shipment, it's 300 units. So I can see that that's tracked and it's live. Okay? And this can be, you can report on this. Okay? So now let's assume this scenario. Now we're changing our delivery dates. Supplier calls us and they tell us, Ilya, there's a problem. We cannot deliver this product, this container by the 28th. We need to move the delivery date. So you would go and you would change that. So I'm going to change that here to July 5. I'm going to save that. Right. So just to demonstrate, I'm going to go back to my home page. I'm going to go to my customer. I'm going to try to create a sales order just to show you the available to promise feature one more time. So I'm going to pick my item. I'll copy and paste it in there. To make sure that I have the right location. So I'm going to pick my location. Again, I'm backward, nothing has really changed. But notice the earliest available date has changed. Now it's July 5th, no longer 6/28. Okay. So continuing on, I want to show you the vendor dashboard and that visibility, a 365-degree view on your supplier records. So this is a vendor dashboard, and here you can see everything related to that vendor. So if I speed it up a little bit, so here we can see all the purchase orders to receive. It's all in one place. So I can sort here by date in descending order. And I can see my PO, 13522. So if I want to view it, I can click on this little I, and I can review the PO. You can see that expected receipt date that we talked about. Then if I go back to my vendor, again, access my dashboard, I can look at the key performance indicators. So purchases, open request for quotes. We have 3, remember. Then any important links, reports. I will quickly now show you the aging report. So I'm going to click on the aging report. And here we can see the aging report for that vendor. So again, just to demonstrate that everything is linked, everything is connected in one place, available to all the users in the system with adequate permissions to see. All right, moving on. Final topic of discussion is the supply chain control tower. This is another feature that enhances your supply chain visibility. You can use this feature to simulate inventory supply and demand across your supply chain. These simulations, or snapshots as we call them, are used to analyze whether inventory levels are in line with your demand, essentially open sales orders. This can assist you to juggle matching customer requests with supply availability. Okay? And this analysis can help you plan to receive a product only when it's needed, This will in turn help you reduce the inventory investment. Okay? So you can always see inventory balances here, okay, when a transaction is processed. So let me show you a quick demo. This one will be really quick. So I'm going to find my item. So I'm going to open my compact D230, and I'm going to click on supply chain snapshot. So if you click on that button, you actually see everything that's outstanding for a specific location. So you see the demand and supply. You also can see past horizon date and future horizon date for this report. Right? So future horizon date is I can make it as far as 365 days, so I can see what's coming in 365 days, and what my inventory balance will be in the future once these transactions are processed. So this really helps with planning. Okay? And today I'm not talking about demand planning, which is also a feature available in NetSuite. And there are other features that I didn't demonstrate today, but this is one that you can use without demand planning. Okay? All right, moving on. So what are the key takeaways after what we've reviewed? So the question is, what can NetSuite do for you? So it can definitely help you to stop managing your business in Excel. Okay, Excel is great, but it should not be used as your database or MRP. You can also streamline your process or your processes. Your entire team will use established NS transactions or NetSuite transactions and processes, and the potential for errors will be reduced significantly. Thirdly, you can achieve that supply chain visibility. At any point of the day and night, you will know the status of your inventory, shipment, and you will have the 365-degree view of your vendors through their dashboards. Okay? Ultimately, then, this improves your inventory planning and speeds up your rate of fulfillment. This will make your customers very happy. With that, I will invite you to ask any questions.
Great, thank you, Ilya.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Yeah, so it's estimated that the average organization really only interfaces with about 10% of their suppliers, and these are typically, you know, the key suppliers that they are able to connect with. And what this does is it leaves, you know, 90% of those other ones in a black box, if you will. So that's where things really start becoming manual, and visibility is pretty limited there. So as Ilya mentioned, if it's something you might want to improve or something that you may be challenged with, you know, we're happy to set up a call with you, hear more about your business specifically. So yeah, this is a couple of moments for Q&A. We will be sending this presentation out to anyone who attended as well as registered, and you can pass that along to whoever you'd like. And yeah, with that, we can go to the next slide, Ilya.
Definitely.
Great. So as I mentioned, this stairway is a representation of how we see our relationship with partnering with new customers. So, you know, because our goal is to achieve a long-lasting connection with our customers, we like to start off with business process mapping or assessment. And this comes after we have our initial call or meeting with new customers. And this is where we sit down and we really take a look at the finer details and how companies are operating today. So from there, that's when, you know, we go into implementation, optimization, and then enhancements and any sort of integrations. And then, you know, that's how we find, you know, our relationships with customers end up being for the long term. So we'll still leave the Q&A open for a couple more minutes. And if there's any questions, please feel free to type them out now. So yeah, I do have a question.
Yes, absolutely. I'll try to answer.
So do we have reporting with Supply Tower, and are there dashboards associated with that?
So the reporting with Supply Tower is available in that Supply Tower screen. So it's a report in itself, and you can refresh it and it can run. So it's sort of a snapshot. So there are no dashboards around the Supply Tower. You can create reports that can mimic that functionality, if that makes sense as an answer.
Yep, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the session for today. We will be following up with each of you individually to get not only your feedback, but to see if there's anything else we can help answer for you. So with that being said, thank you, Ilya, for the amazing webinar, and thank you everyone for attending today. And we look forward to seeing you at our future sessions.
Thank you.